Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Busy Brain Podcast. I am your host, Reassurance, and today we are going to be talking about all things abandonment, what is abandonment, and I'm going to dive into relationship abandonment fear, friendship abandonment fear, and really, what is this fear of abandonment? And a lot of people would think that, they don't have this fear, or this isn't something that kind of underlies between a lot of the actions and things that we say to people. Like, the way that we portray ourselves really has so much to do with what's underneath us. So at the end of the day, we always have this backdrop of all of these external factors on why we do certain things the way that we do them. So in this episode, I really want to get into the thoughts that we have when it comes to this. And if you feel like you have these thoughts, and to realize that it's normal to have these thoughts and everybody has these thoughts. So that being said, I really want to put out and make it very clear that on this account, in this channel, in this podcast, in this community, I want to make it very clear that no problem is too small and no problem is too big. And your feelings are valid no matter if you feel like they don't make sense, or you shouldn't feel like this in that moment. Like, your feelings are still valid because you're still feeling them. And it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to talk about them because they don't make sense. And I think that's a big misconception that a lot of people have, is that they don't talk about feelings that don't make sense, and that they feel like somebody else wouldn't relate to, or somebody couldn't make sense of. And if I were to put that into an example or perspective, it would be that when somebody is grieving somebody, it is easier for someone to understand what that person is going through, because there's stages of grief, right? So there's kind of a textbook reasoning behind people's emotions, why they feel the way they do and why they do the things they do. But when it comes to disorders, personality issues, or these problems with emotional regulation, and going back to the way that you were raised or how you grew up, or all of these things, friendships, bullying, all the stuff that you've gone through in your life plays a part in all aspects of your life now. So remembering that your little emotions and the small things matter, everything matters. It doesn't mean that you need to obsess over everything, but it doesn't mean that you need to hide them. So I think that's where the misconception lies, is people think that their problems don't necessarily make sense, so they don't vocalize it. And when you vocalize this makes it it makes someone else feel heard. It makes you feel heard, and it makes you feel more understood. And I don't sit down and do this every second week, because it doesn't make me happy and it doesn't fill my bucket too. I know that my survival story will also be somebody else's success. So again, take all of that as you will, but when we're talking about abandonment, let's remember that all of these little emotions and these little thoughts are so valid. And if we keep pushing them to the side and keep pretending that there's an issue on our part, then we're not going to get anywhere with our relationship, friendships, anything, or work. It's just not going to go anywhere. So to start off with all of this, I really want to go into the thoughts that somebody has and why we kind of have these thoughts. Again, mental health varies from person to person. It's beyond individual. So when I'm talking, it's all personalized, or something that someone has said to me, or comments that I've gotten told about this week's episode that they wanted me to share. So again, everything is individual, and that doesn't mean that if I don't say something that you feel, that doesn't mean that your feelings aren't valid either. So, that being said, when a person enters somebody's life and it's something new per se, it's a new boyfriend, it's a new friend, it's you're going to school and you're in high school and you make friend groups, and in those friend groups you can feel left out, or you can feel as though you're not as good as the next person, or and I find that this tends to stem a lot more in high school because we're all, or more like middle school, like high school, early high school, because we're all kind of growing up and realizing like who we are and like where we kind of fit in, and that's okay and that's normal. And it's also normal to like stray and distance yourself from people. Like, it is life. Like, you don't need to be friends with the same people that you were friends with growing up. Like, it's normal. People steer away from each other, and that doesn't mean that that relationship didn't mean anything. So bear that in mind. Again, remember that, like, people, that is normal too. And you also have to remember, like, read into a situation, don't overread into a situation. So when your thoughts are coming over you, like, like, everyone's hanging out and I'm not invited, that's valid. Like, that makes total sense. Like, that is not fair. That is, I think a lot of the time people forget that this fear of abandonment doesn't necessarily need to be stemmed from like a relationship with your significant other, like, whatsoever. I personally deal with it, or dealt with it so much more when it came to friendships, and I found it so much harder to hold on to a friendship rather than I did hold on to a relationship, because, and like, again, like, this can be completely opposite for people, and for me it's like I've always had, like, I have core friends that like I'll have for the rest of my life. I will always have. They know who they are, and like, there's honestly like those people, like, I know are like rock soul, like, core people in my life, and I'm so lucky. Like, I'm lucky enough to be able to have the confidence and faith in those people that they're not going anywhere. But that doesn't mean that sometimes I do feel like they are, and sometimes I do feel like they are going somewhere. And for example, I've had a best friend my whole life, and we have been friends since grade 7, and she is awesome. We are such different people, but like it doesn't, like, I don't know how to even explain. Like, I genuinely don't know how to explain our friendship. She knows who she is too. I love her so much, and um, this like relationship I've had with this person has been like so solid, like, throughout my whole life, that it's really showed me that like your friends can stay, and like no matter what and no matter where, like, they will stay. So for me, we went through like multiple like little friend groups in high school, ended up like within the same like friend groups, and like, it didn't matter, like, we didn't like fight with each other, we didn't like compete with each other. And I think that so much of it is, if you're having this fear with these people, sometimes it might not be you. Okay? So if you're having this fear that this person's gonna leave you, then maybe also start keying into like how they speak to you. Do they belittle you in conversation? Do they seem as though they're jealous of you in a way? Do they kind of come off standoffish when introducing you to other people? Like, they don't really want you to know other people. It's like there's those parts in it too that you have to obviously look at. But like, if I were to put it into this aspect, this is a friend of mine who has given me absolutely no reasoning that she would ever walk away from our friendship. Like, there's just never been an instance that she gave me that fact where I'm like, "Ugh, she hates me." But like, does that stop me from thinking that she hates me sometimes? No. Especially in high school, it didn't stop me from thinking that the odd time, because And not even the odd times. Sometimes I'd obsess over it. And it's your best friend who's given you no fact. So let's put that into a reason or a way that we can kind of pull ourselves out of this like thought circle of like someone hates me, someone doesn't like me, they don't want me there, they don't want my attention, they don't want to be my friend anymore. This, that. Let's look at the fact of it all. Like, let's decatastrophize this whole situation. So when I say that, let's break it down, let's pull the pieces of the puzzle, let's make a little spider web map. And whether you want to write it down, put it in your head, like, it's all, you have to look at what has this person said, done, like, why do I feel like this? If there's no reasoning to it, you're probably causing it to yourself. And so that sucks to hear, but it's true. And the way that we can, like, if we can, like, realize that and, like, put our finger on that, one, it also, like, you have to look at it from the other person's point of view too. Like, if I was constantly looking at this friend of mine and saying this all the time, like, you don't like me, you don't want to be like, and I constantly needed that reassurance from her, it becomes tiring and it becomes exhausting. There is points in time where, like, it's totally okay to get reassurance from friends and, like, be down in the dumps. But you also can't expect your friends to like, I don't know how to like say it because it's not a bad thing, and it's because like your friend's mental health matters too, right? Like, as much as you're struggling right now, imagine how it would feel if like you were doing so much for somebody and you were trying so hard but they were just struggling and it felt like you were just doing nothing and it was just awful. It's okay for you guys to take like that moment because you don't want to hurt each other either, right? So that doesn't mean you're not friends. It doesn't mean any of that. So I got to learn that within this friendship because when all of my friends went away to university, I stayed home and it sucks. Like, it fucking sucks until it doesn't, until you realize that nothing changes. Literally nothing changes. You live the life that you want to live. If you want to live that life, then go live that life. There's nothing wrong with the way anyone lives their lives. It's their life. They can live it how they want to. So if they're going to add to your life or they're not, then it's losing them is okay. And if we can kind of look at it from the way of like this fear of like, oh my God, they don't like me, this, that, we don't want someone in our lives who makes us feel like that, right? You don't want someone who makes you feel like that. But if you're making yourself feel like that, then you really have to kind of like, we got to look into that because it's not your friends, it's you. And I'm saying that because it was me and it still is me sometimes. Like, I totally feel like that. Everyone feels like that. That's not going anywhere. I still feel like that. Like, do we still call our boyfriends that random fucking day and be like, you don't love me anymore? Like, his tone of voice was off in the morning. Guys, that's normal. It's so normal. And, like, for example, my prof actually said today, like, it's funny because I'm doing it. My prof said, um, I can always tell a newlywed, like a newly engaged person, because at the bank, because they're fiddling with their ring in their hand. And in my head, I'm like, because, and he totally has a point. But because it's new, it's uncomfortable, it's different, like they're not used to having that jewelry on their hand, which is true, but it also can be so many other factors, right? Like, I fiddle with my hand all the time. Like, I will pull things, like I'll pull out my earrings, like I'll itch the back of my neck. Does it mean the back of my neck's itchy? No. So like when I say that, I mean there's so many reasons, just so many different things that you need to pick out the facts. Does he actually know that she's newly, like, no, we don't know any of this. All you know is yourself and your environment, right? So pick out those facts. Yes, the facts can be tough to pick out sometimes. Yes, if someone's sitting in a conversation with you and sitting up and being more attentive with the conversation and feels like they're listening rather than someone's being on their phone or completely not looking at you, and you're like, okay, but there's no like fact there. Yes, the fact is it is rude to be on your phone while somebody is trying to have a conversation with you. It is rude. That's a fact. Like, it's just like if someone you like it's situational. You kind of have to trust your judgment. And if you can trust your judgment, you can also trust these thoughts, right? And when I get these thoughts, I'm quick to question them. And that's okay. I'm allowed to question my own thoughts because I know myself and I've learned myself. I'm still learning myself. My brain will forever learn. But I also like, fuck, it's okay. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm so sensitive to rejection. I just am. Like, I've always been sensitive to rejection. Like, when it comes to, for me especially, it's very much like friendship based. That, like, if I feel as though somebody is no longer adding something to my life, or no, like, that's not fair. That's not true. Like, adding something to my life is in, I feel as though this is causing my mental state harm, and I'm so horrified of going back to this like depressive state that I used to be in, and this because it's still so recent to me. It feels like I was struggling so much a year ago that it feels like it's so possible that I could fall back into that tomorrow, even though I'm medicated differently. I live my life very differently. There's so many different aspects at play. Like, you still revert back to these like thoughts because like that pathway you've been living is the way that you've been thinking for so long. You can't just snap your fingers and expect that all of a sudden, let's say that you've grown up with a single mother your whole life. You've never had a father figure in your life. Why at like the age of, I don't know, let's say you're 16 now and mom has a boyfriend and you are at home and like you like, yes, society has normalized, and yes, it's normal to have a father figure and a mother figure in somebody's life. But why do you need to trust that person is going to stay, be there, do all these things for you if you've never been shown that? That's okay. That's normal. That's fine, right? But to be open to that and to be open to like learning to trust someone, and it's okay to revert these patterns in your brain. So remembering that this pathway you've been living your whole life doesn't just change within a snap of your fingers. You have to learn how to change it. Like, if you got a dog from a shelter that's been severely abused, and I've seen this, like, I actually saw this the other day. It was like a dog was so scared of men, and this girl's boyfriend just like kept like being really patient, very kind, like empathetic and compassionate towards the dog. And by the end of it, the dog and the guy have an amazing relationship. And that's because like these pathways are changeable. It's just not gonna change like that. It's not gonna go up immediately. And we're all perfectionists in a way and want this to happen right away because feeling uncomfortable sucks. And feeling like someone's gonna leave you sucks, and not feeling good enough sucks. You want to be feeling like that, and like sometimes it could even be like a trigger. It could be dramatic, like it could be a traumatic thing that you feel like going back to this moment in time that you felt so alone when somebody left you, and it's like I never want to feel like that again. So like I'm gonna push you so far away before you can leave me. And you can even do that and not know why. That's okay too. Like, no, you don't need to know why. You don't need the answers to everything. That's like what I really want to like emphasize is like I want you guys to be able to like, especially like in this community conversate, like in the Dropbox, like please, like let me know anything. Like I don't, nothing is too small, nothing is too big. Like things suck and things are amazing, and we live one life. So if we're gonna go and push everybody else down, like what's the point? Like seriously, what's the point? Like we're lucky enough to like be able to experience things that other people don't experience. There's always going to be better than us. There's always going to be worse than us. So being scared that someone's going to leave you is fucking normal. It's normal. But let's learn it. Let's learn what we're thinking. These thoughts that we're thinking all the time, let's put a finger on it. Because if we don't like the way we're feeling and we don't like the way we're acting out, why don't we change it? I want to go back to that point because I think that there's one point that I just made that I think a lot of people can relate to is this fear of I'm going to push you away before you can push me away. And why I say that is because for me, it like I'm going to look at it like I've never had someone like so detrimental in my life like walk out and leave me. But I'm like I fully like I do that all the time. Like if I'm like it's not good. Like I'm not saying this is good, but like if I'm really uncomfortable in a situation, like I like my first thought is like what can I do to exit the situation like in full. So whether that be like an argument with my parents, an argument with my friends, an argument with my boyfriend, like how do I leave this and like literally never think about this ever again? Like I do not want to think about this. She, they're gonna leave me before. Like I can't deal with that. Like if I have full control over this situation and I can leave you, and I know why, and like I have all the answers. It feels like, and I feel like I have control. I'll feel more comfortable. But if I don't have control over that situation, all hell is going to break loose. Like I'm going to be I can't like fathom the fact that like I could feel the way that I used to feel. Like there's like I can't go back there. And I think that it's a protection thing that like I can't feel like that again. I cannot feel like that again. If I have any slight indication that like a situation is going to end up making me feel the way that I used to feel or like will feel sometimes, no, because I can't control it as is. Like I can't control feeling that fucking shitty sometimes and like feeling that depressed and like going through those episodes. Like I'm I don't have control over that. That comes on its own. So if I can control it, I'm going to. Like I'm not feeling that more than I need to. Like I deal with it fine when I have to, but if I don't have to deal with it, I'm so mad at myself that I'm in that position because like I'm like I could have gotten out of this. Like if I have control, it's not going to be near as bad as that depression. Which just like we realize like, and by the way, like all of this, like you will find out every mistake you make in time, and it's like okay, like that's normal. And like I've made so many mistakes in my life, and I've been able to realize them in time. Like as time goes, you're able to oh I could have done this in this situation, I could have said this differently, I could have left it on this note, or ooh I want to build that relationship back up, I should really apologize for this or this, or you know what, like I really feel like where I lay and like my foot in this situation is good and I'm good in my shoes, but I don't like how this and this went, and I don't want to like reconnect those dots, but I'm aware of it, you know what I mean? So there's so many things that but only you can do that. And yeah, it can be super frustrating sometimes to think that like not everyone's gonna do this. And it sucks. It really sucks to think that like somebody's really gonna fucking hurt you and push you away and probably just leave you fucking high and dry and give you no explanation, no reasoning behind it. It's gonna feel awful. It's gonna be it's gonna be scary. It's gonna feel like those moments again. But that is that someone you want to have in your life. You live one life. Is like you're not like you needed that to happen. They needed to throw that in your face. You weren't going to realize it, which is fine. We don't realize it. I didn't. No one realizes until it's thrown right in your face. And you're like, "Oh, wait. They just like it's what?" Like, it just doesn't make sense. So, to realize that like not everyone's going to self-reflect and not everyone's going to realize what they did to you and the shitty things that you're going to do, putting that fear though onto everyone else is going to hurt you more in the long run. that's why it's so important to like not internalize it, not project it, but to talk about it, communicate it. I'm not telling all of you to go see a therapist. I'm not. I'm not saying I'm a therapist. I'm saying that it's normal to like think that somebody's mad when there's no way that they're mad. But when this happened one time, it felt like that, and now you're like, it's fine. And guys, men, it's fine. Like it's okay. Like it's okay to be worried. It's okay to have these feelings of like, oh, my buddy went golfing with this guy and not me. Like, is he upset? Like it's normal. Like everyone feels like that. And there's such a misconception that like just girls think like this and blah blah blah. Like no, I'm telling you right now, that's just bullshit lie. That's not true. Girls just communicate it better. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. But I think that so much of it is if you can realize that you want someone who's able to reflect like this, like, and like kind of open all these boxes and check the facts and realize like that you can only control yourself. Like you can really only control yourself. And if they want to, they will. And if your friend wants to, they will. And if your boyfriend or girlfriend wants to, they will. And people make fucking mistakes, and that's normal too. But I'm saying mistakes as in like, I'm really insecure one day, and I'm like, oh my god, like you don't love me anymore. Like, are you like, do you think like this is, or I don't fucking know. Like, do you like I get insecure at the fact that maybe he's looking at other people? That's that's a me problem. That's not a him problem. It's just not a him problem. Can I talk to him about it? Sure. I have to go about it properly though, because your insecurity is not their issue. I don't know if that's like a bad thing to say, but like being afraid that they're gonna leave you isn't their problem unless like they caused like there's a cause and effect. So communicating it and like having good communication there and going about it properly and not attacking and not projecting it will make all of the difference in your friendships and relationships. Like telling your friends, like, hey, like I felt like you were pushing me onto the sidewalk, like off the sidewalk when we were walking, like I low key felt like shit about it, like whatever. And if they're weird about it and all this stuff, like are those people that you want to surround yourself with? Like if like they're evidently like being those people and you're like all evidently like the odd man out of the group every single time, but you just feel like you'd like to associate with that crowd, do you really want to be there? Because this is just you harming you. Like you can control it. Like you have control. So remember you have control. You're in total control of your own actions and situations. So vocalize it. I love to just say it. Like say it how it is. It's fine. It's normal. If you don't like the reaction, you don't like the response. I'm not saying like ghost them. I'm brutal for that. But like I'm saying like you don't need to put up with it. You don't need to do this all the time. Like you don't need to hang out with that friend group all the time. Like you don't need to go at recess or at lunch, I don't know. You don't want to go and walk with these girls that you were trying consistently to fit in with when there will be a group of girls that you do fit in with. You feel welcomed, you feel loved. Like there's so many people in this world that like you have full control. So to take away from this episode, I would really want you guys. Sorry, I'm getting really jittery. I think my meds are wearing off, and I'm still drinking a coffee. Anyways, um, I want you guys to take away from this episode that this is literally something that everybody goes through. Everyone, even if they're 60, they still feel like this. People still feel like this. This is so normal. Okay? One, it's normal. Talk about it. It's fine. Realize who you want to pick in your life and pick your people. And you have full control over all of these situations. So insert yourself where you feel that you should be and exit where you should be. I don't know if that doesn't make sense, but it does in my head. And then another point would be that let's fully just normalize the fact that like your like this issue that we have and like I have it too, guys. Like we all have like we're all like this. We can help each other. Like you're not enemies. Like if your friends like are your friends or like your boyfriend or girlfriend is your like if they're meant for you, they're going to help you feel better. Like they're not gonna like make you feel like shit about it. And like for example, like if someone does like bring something up to me and like I'm not in the like I'm in a shit mood and I don't have the response back that I feel like I should have, I'll just communicate that. Like there's no harm in communicating this stuff because like at the end of the day, like I want to go to bed at night. like I don't know. I'm not sure if anyone else like that. I'm sure people are, but I like will literally stem over it, and I'm like, okay, should I just text them? Like I did not mean to look at them like that. That was so fucking rude of me. I've gotten a lot better with it because like I work at a bar, so when I'm like behind the bar and like zoned out, I feel like I'm like either one staring at someone, two like death staring someone. Like I look, my resting face is not friendly. I don't like. I just like feel like I look miserable or mad, and I'm not. Like I'm really not. Like if you talk to me, like I'm really cheerful. Cheerful. Oh my god. I'm I'll try and talk, or I'm like I have social anxiety sometimes, so I'm like I don't really know what else to say, and I don't really know how to what kind of eye contact I'm doing right now. I'm overthinking it. Do I look like I'm trying too hard? Like, guys, we all feel like this. Like this is so normal. Like for me, I don't drink, so it's like easier for me to be like, okay, they're just drunk. Like they're not like overthinking like me. But like if I'm in a meeting, I get like so anxious because I'm like, like, am I making the impression like I want to make? Like all these things, like, oh my god, like our brains are running a million miles an hour, and like in the topic of abandonment and like someone leaving or pushing someone away, it's not gonna like think like that one time, and then when it steers to abandonment and all these insecurities, it's gonna go away. It's not. It's gonna go away if we train it to and we change the way that we feel like that and we change that pathway. So, yeah, I think that's all for this week's episode. But I do have a guest episode coming up quite shortly, and then I have another one planned after that. And I'm really excited. I think you guys will be too. One of them is actually from my Dropbox messages. So I'm really, really, really thankful that I got that message and was able to connect with the, this individual, this community. And yeah, you guys are going to be so excited. I'm so excited for you and me, more me, because I get to like meet her. And this episode is not going to be here. It's going to be different because I'm traveling for it. So I'm really excited. I'm so glad that I get to like experience this stuff and like get this opportunity. So thank you guys. It's all thanks to you, and I'm so grateful for this community that we have and to be able to come on here and normalize and destigmatize the conversation around mental health and show each other that no problem is too small, no problem is too big, and it's like, guys, let's fucking talk about it. It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Everybody struggles, and if you say that you don't, it's an episode for another day.